What is up, YouTube, and welcome back once again to the channel. Make sure to subscribe and like this video. In this video, I'll be doing the top 10 NFL owners of all time. So, without further ado, let's begin. So, the critique for this basically is, team success. How much of a player's coach were they? Like, how well did they treat their players and coaches, and how loyal they were to their team? So, let's begin. Coming in at number 10, Art Rooney II. Art Rooney II is the grandson of Art Rooney, who was the original founding father of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Art Rooney, the Steelers have won a couple of Super Bowls since he's been there, with Bill Cowher and with Mike Tomlin. Art Rooney just been a pretty consistently efficient owner as the Pittsburgh Steelers owner. Coming at number 9, Ralph Wilson, the owner of the Buffalo Bills. For a while, he was there during the 4 straight Super Bowls they went to. The stadium was named after him for a while. It isn't anymore. Coming in at number 8, Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots, who's been the owner for the New England Patriots for a couple of decades now. He bought the team pre-Brady Belichick era. He hired Belichick, gave him a chance after the Cleveland Browns had fired him. And he's always been a good players coach. Always been one to respect his players and get what they want. And same for the coaches. Maybe he's not a great human being, but he's definitely a good football head coach. A football owner. Number 7, Al Davis, who is the longtime owner of the now known as Las Vegas Raiders. His son now is the owner of the Raiders. He went up against the NFL in a bunch of lawsuits all by himself. Al Davis, known for his his funny attitude, but very good owner, and he was a head coach at times. Coming in at number 6, Jerry Jones, who is a very controversial owner. He gets a lot of negative attention for not being a good owner at times and not knowing what he's doing. But you got to remember, when Jerry Jones first bought the team in the 90s, they won 3 Super Bowls in his first 4 years of being there, and they haven't won one since. But this is a guy who's been very loyal to his people, like with Jason Garrett. He gave Jason Garrett unlimited opportunities to turn the team around. He stood by Tony Romo's side, but understood the direction they were heading in with Dak. And he's a guy who isn't afraid to pay up the big money, because he has it, obviously, but he pays up the big money to his players, and he does not like to franchise tag players. He usually tries to pay them. Coming in at number 5, Virginia Hallis McCaskey. She is the daughter of George Halas. Virginia Hallis McCaskey, she was left the team by her father in the 80s, I believe. And they haven't a very successful team as of late, but she is one of those owners who is really just an iconic figure because of how long she's been around. She's now 99 years old, and she's put a lot of effort into this football team. I don't think once her father passed it down to her, she didn't brush it aside to someone else, or she didn't she doesn't take it seriously. She really puts a lot of heart into this, and you can tell it by the moves she makes and how she attends pretty much almost every single game, even despite her age. Definitely one of the owners who probably deserves to see a Super Bowl in their lifetime, but it may not happen. Coming in at number 4, Eddie DeBartolo, who was the owner of the San Francisco 49ers through the 80s and the 90s. And eventually he was forced to sell the team due to some issues. But Eddie DeBartolo, he revitalized the San Francisco 49ers organization. He was one of the key parts of the 49ers dynasty of the 80s and 90s. Eddie DeBartolo was a great team guy. He was great friends with the players and the coaches. He wasn't just an owner, he was a friend of the players, treated his players well, was loyal to Joe Montana even after he left San Francisco. Same with Bill Walsh. He gave Bill Walsh a job after Bill Walsh walked away from the coaching position. Eddie DeBartolo, number 4. Coming in at number 3, Art Rooney, the original Art Rooney, the founding father of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Art Rooney. Funny story about Art Rooney is, back the Steelers were a laughing stock in the NFL up until the 70s, and then, there is a printing error with the helmets where printing out the Steelers logos on the helmet where they didn't print enough. They only printed enough to be on one side of the helmet each because the person printing didn't take into account two on each helmet. So the Steelers wound up only having one logo on one side of their helmet, and that's how it's been. And the reason for that is, even when the mistake happened, when the Steelers had their first great season in years and had their first playoff season in years, Art Rooney, being superstitious, said, let's keep the one-sided helmet because we did well, and this is the first time. Wow, so it's a funny story there. But Art Rooney obviously was there during the 1970s when the Steelers won 4 Super Bowls, and his legacy continues on with his family, who currently owns the team. Coming in at number 2, Lamar Hunt, who owned the Kansas City Chiefs for a while, and now his son and his wife, Clark Hunt and Norma Hunt, own the Chiefs. Lamar Hunt isn't just a great owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. He was just a great all-around founding father of the NFL because, he was the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, who were part of the AFL for a while, but he was one of the guys who really made a push to combine the AFL and NFL to combine into one league, and he was part of the push that really pushed that cause forward, and he's really the reason for the Super Bowl because Lamar Hunt, you got to remember Lamar Hunt, he's the Super Bowl happened because of his push to bring the two leagues together, and if not for the two leagues coming together, there would have never been a Super Bowl. It just would have been separate championships. So you could make an argument for him the trophy should be named after Lamar Hunt, but the AFC Championship trophy is named after him, at least. And Lamar Hunt was just a great all-around player. Stories about him, how he would always fly around the country recruiting players and trying to bring the NFL into as one league and helping create other teams. Just an all-around great figure for the NFL. Coming in at number 1, Papa Bear George Halas. George Halas, he didn't make my top 10 head coaches of all time list, but he's definitely probably the best owner of all time in NFL history. Another guy who was a big part of the NFL, the NFL's creation. And he wasn't just an owner. He was a player. He was a head coach. He was everything. He literally walked his day as an NFL figure. He could relate to everybody. Everyone could relate to him because he was a player, head coach, and owner. But as an owner, even after he was done coaching, he was able to keep his team relevant, keep himself in the mix, and just an all-around great owner who would, be a player's guy, a coach's guy, be an everyone's guy, and just apparently an all-around awesome person to be around with. But that's my top 10 owners of all time. Comment down below who you guys think I may have snubbed or who I may be overrated. But other than that, I will see you guys